أعزائنا المشاهدين، أحداث الشرق.
The developments in the Middle East concern the entire world, and Russia is no exception. Russia is a permanent member of the UN Security Council, as well as an active member of the International Quartet on the Middle East. Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister, Mikhail Bogdanov, joins us to discuss recent developments and the situation in the Middle East and answer the question whether the region is going through the Arab Spring, as some experts say, or a period of decline. Mr. Bogdanov, before you became Deputy Foreign Minister, you were Russia's ambassador to Egypt for a number of years and witnessed the tragic events that shook the country. The life of the vast majority of Egyptians remained bitterly hard and is constantly deteriorating. Do you think there is a possibility that Egypt will experience another wave of mass protests, this time inspired by economic demands? What are the prospects for Egyptian statehood, considering the influence of the region?
Any crucial decisions taken should only be taken by the people, employing a democratic procedure, be it a referendum, plebiscite or nationwide election. Did you know that there has been an action plan for reform drafted in Egypt which includes reforming the electoral system for both parliamentary and presidential elections, introducing amendments to the constitution, adjusting existing legislation and adopting important new laws that will affect the social, economic and political aspects of life for the Arab community? We hope our Egyptian friends achieve progress and success on their paths of reforms.
Let us turn to Syria now, which is one of the most difficult problems in the region. The West responded negatively to the statements and the actions of the Syrian government. The EU is tightening its sanctions against Syria. The UN resolution is being used to probe the situation for the possibility of military intervention. How high are the chances that Western countries will indeed unleash a military campaign against Syria?
We realize that Syria is going through a very difficult stage of development. Similar to a few other countries in the region, an internal civil conflict broke out between the government and part of society. Political, social and economic problems had aggravated, both in terms of numbers and complexity. We think the best way to deal with these problems is a nationwide dialogue, combined with crucial political, social and economic reforms. We also call on the Syrian government to keep their promises and live up to the hopes and aspirations of the people that were adequately expressed during the mass rallies.
Russia has refused to even discuss the draft resolution on Syria proposed by France. What is the reason behind such a tough stance, especially with regard to the fact that Moscow did not stonewall the UN Security Council resolution on Libya? Are there any other ways of resolving the Syrian crisis with international help?
We believe that the Syrians should address their problems as part of their domestic agenda. This is an internal civil conflict, and it should not be internationalized. As for the situation in Libya, of course, every country is unique in terms of its particular situation, the background of its conflict, the form and the scale of public protest, etc. On the other hand, we should learn our lessons. This refers to the UN resolution on Libya you've mentioned. We are all witness to it, and we still see it now that a number of international players tend to digress from the strict observation of both the instructions and the spirit of these resolutions. Therefore, we are naturally concerned that such loose interpretations could only result in making some of the opposition circles tighten their position and opt for a tougher approach, which is by no means a positive achievement in terms of finding a mutually acceptable solution.
Europe is becoming increasingly wary of and disappointed with NATO's military campaign in Libya. The conflict shows no sign of ending. The plight of the civilian population is deteriorating radically. What measures would you consider necessary for the conflicting parties and the international community to take in order to bring about a solution, both in political and in humanitarian terms?
From the very start, we have urged the parties in the conflict to cease all military action, declare a truce and work out a sustainable solution for peace in Libya in order to kick-start the process of political reconciliation. In this regard, we have highly appreciated the contribution of the African Union, which prepared a roadmap for reconciliation in Libya. The UN Secretary-General's envoy for Libya is also contributing a lot to this process, having come up with a number of additional settlement proposals addressing both military and political aspects.
As we discuss events in this region, we can't avoid touching upon its key problem. I mean the Palestinian issue. New generations of Israelis and Palestinians have matured since the Middle East peace process was launched, but we still haven't seen any feasible progress in negotiations. Would you say this is a deadlock, or is there a way to get the peace process on track? And what would it require?
I think that everybody realizes that the Palestinians and Israelis are bound by destiny itself to live side by side. As you know, Russia advocates establishing an independent Palestinian state as soon as possible, for this state to live alongside Israel, maintaining peace and security. We are committed to this purpose, both as a permanent member of the Security Council and as an active participant of the Middle East Quartet. There was a ministerial meeting of the Quartet in Washington recently, which featured a very specific, detailed discussion on the situation with regard to the Palestinian-Israeli track. We are certainly concerned with the negotiation being stalled at the moment, but we still hope that both parties will find a way to agree on resuming the talks with a view to establishing an independent Palestinian state as soon as possible, and to resolve all of the remaining issues in order to reach a final settlement between Israel and the Palestinians.